What is up, makers? My name is Jack Daly, and in this video I am going to be doing a Fusion 360 tutorial. And in this video we are going to be talking about, well, I'm going to be teaching you how to make this cube right here. That is, by the way, laser-cuttable. Does that make sense? Laser-cuttable? No, what I mean is that you can make these. I'll teach you how to obviously make the actual cube, make them as separate components, and then actually get the DXF from them. So let's just jump right in then. So the first thing you want to do is you want to click up to here and you want to click New Design. If you haven't already done that, but obviously if you open up Fusion 360, then you will already have this sort of scene here already. Alright, so then what you need to do is you need to click on New Component. Alright, and now in each of our design, you can see that we have different panels. Now each different panel has to be a different component of, ready? So if I click New Component, if I just Control Z that, because obviously I swapped to the side. So if I click New Component, and here you want to select Empty Component, and then you want to name it, whatever you want, side 1. And then you want to click on Parent. Now the parent should be this. Now you can see how Fusion 360 does it. It's almost like a tree. So here you have the file. Now obviously we haven't saved it yet, so we haven't given it a file name. And then we have some what we call metadata. Now what metadata is just obviously document settings, origin, you know, all that good stuff. So obviously we're not interested in that. So what we want to do is we want to click Parent, make sure it's a parent of that, and then make it active. Now all active does is, it means as soon as we click OK, we're already editing that component. So now click OK. And now you can see on the side in our tree, under the unsaved file, we now have side 1 of 1. So of 1 means that if we copy and paste it, it will be of 2, of 3, of 4. It's nice because you actually have one. So if we click on that arrow now we have our own origin for side 1. And obviously that's obviously X, Y, Z and all that good stuff. So the next part we want to do is we want to start drawing. So click Create Sketch and click on the right plane, which is this one right here, between the green and the blue. So click on this one right here. Now with the origin, you see this little the little wheel in the middle. This is called the origin. You then want to click S, and you want to type in cent for center. And you see it does it by keyword, so you got cent. So you got cent in all of these, so center diameter, center this, center that. But we want center rectangle, so click on that. And you can see it sort of snaps to the grid. So snap it to that origin, bring it out, and make sure it's 50 by 50. So now if you haven't, and you brought it out like this, you can, obviously where it's highlighted, you can type in 50, click tab, and now you can see it's locked at 50. So this whole cube, so I can make it 67 by 50, and you can see that it's locked. So if we type in 50 again and we click tab, and you can see they're both locked, so I can't move it, click enter, and now you've just made your first cube in Fusion 360. So if we go back, so that's obviously what right click does. So if we go back to our slot together cube, we can see that we've just made the actual square, and we have something sticking out. Like these cubes are actually sticking out. Now these cubes, or rectangles, whatever you want to call them, these are called slots. So we want to make some slots, and we've got the receiver slots, which are these ones up here. You can see that they go into the material, they remove material, and we have the we'll say the outie slots, I guess. There isn't like, obviously if you do joints, you'll know the proper name, but for now, for you guys, we'll call them the outie joints, and you can see that they add material and they go into the other one. So if we go into Untitled, we can start, and we'll start with the top one up here, which is a receiver joint, meaning we have to remove material. So the first thing we want to do is we want to click S, you want to click on Line, and you want to come over here. Now you can see you've got your sketch palette, and you have something called options. Now these are all things related to what you're sketching at the moment. What you're sketching obviously are lines. But if you want that line to be a construction line, like these dotted lines here, then you come over here, make sure it's selected, and you see it's blue. That shows that whatever line I'm going to draw now will always be a construction line. So now draw it from this place to this place, 50 mil. And then click S, click on sketch dimension, and click from here to here. Now here's a key design tip that you want to know, alright? So whenever you do your design, you must know what material you are working with. So obviously in this case we're working with 3mm acrylic, which is 0.3 centimeters for some of you out there. So obviously you might be using 4mm, so you'll type in 4mm, but I am using 3mm, and this tutorial is teaching you how to use 3mm, so I'll type in 3, click enter, and you can see that's now changed. Now this gap is a solid 3mm. So now click on S and click 2-point rectangle. So now draw your rectangle anywhere in between that line. And as you can see, I've made a mistake. So I've made this whole rectangle construction because I forgot to unhighlight it. So there's two ways. I could either click on each individual line and unhighlight the construction, and you can see now that that's blue, meaning that's a solid line, but the others aren't. Or I can go Control Z, and redraw the square. So 2-point rectangle. Take off construction and just redraw it. Simple as that. So now click sketch dimensions and click from here to here. Make that 15mm. Click enter, and then click from here to here. Now what's interesting is both sides, so you see that's blue there, both sides were blue, but as soon as I added a sketch dimension to here, it turned black. And now you can see wherever there's a sketch dimension, it's black. So for example here, on these two, because it's a fixed width, we've got the 3mm here, and what that shows is that line is fixed and it can't be moved because it has something related to it, whether that be a constraint over here, so for example coincident, or it be a sketch dimension. So now click from here over to here, and now you can see I actually accidentally over-clicked the line, so you actually got to click from here to here, okay? And now you can see that's working fine now. So now you got it. Here's a tip, sorry. Some of you might not know this, but as you can see I've clicked it and I forgot to enter 15mm. So if I just simply double click, I can now edit that dimension, type in 15, click enter, and now you can see it's changed. So now you can see we've made our first receiver join, but it's just a cube. And if we look, we can see that we've got two separate objects. You can see if I highlight this one, you can see they've got black outline, you can see there's like a white opacity. And I see if I go up to here, you can see I've got another cube. So if I then click S, trim, and now that I just slice it along like that, you can now see, if I press escape, that if we zoom out, that we can now see this sort of like, this is a white where my mouse is, and now this is sort of a yellow. Now if I highlight over it, this is the only shape in the sketch. So now that we've done the receiver one, if we come over here, we can see, okay, we've got a receiver one here and we've got a receiver one here. So there's two ways we can go about this. We can either make the receiver one here, or we can do the outie one here. Now I'm going to do the outie one first. So this is the one at the bottom. So we want to come over here and we want to remember that the outie one adds material. So we won't be removing like we did last time. So we click S, click line, click from here to here, and now you can see I haven't made that construction, so click from here, highlight that construction, click off, click S, sketch dimension from here to here, make that 3mm because we're working with 3mm acrylic, S, 2-point rectangle, and you can see that, make sure construction is highlighted, it isn't, so I can start drawing. Now you can see that that area there has become a yellowy sort of fade of white, if you will. And I'll click sketch dimensions, so you can see the blue, click from here onto this line, 15mm, here onto this line, 15mm, lovely. Now what are we missing? Trim, that's it, we got to trim. So, bring it along here, now you can see it's trimmed, and we are done. So, what else do we need to do? So obviously we need to do the same sort of pattern, but we've got to flip it, so the receiver one's on the right side, and the outie is on the left. So, here's a little challenge. I've showed you how to do these two. Can you pause this video when I say pause it? Obviously not now because I'm still explaining the task that you've got to do. Now can you draw the receiver one on this side? You can see where it's highlighted blue, and the outie one on this side. And it looks exactly like this. So I'll show you both. So you want to make it look like this on this sketch. You know, you can pause it wherever you want. So pause it now. I'll give you some time to pause that. Okay, welcome back. Okay, so if you're looking at a screen that looks like this, obviously it's a sketch, then you've done it correctly. But if you're looking at a screen like mine, then you've probably done something wrong. So, I'm going to teach you how to do it. I'm going to show you some shortcuts to increase your workflow, because us designers, we are pretty lazy, and we want quicker ways to do things, because obviously we've got busy lives. So, let's jump right in. So click S, click 2-point rectangle. Now instead of drawing our line, we can actually just do this. Just draw a random, obviously it has to be along this line, because we're removing material. Just draw a cube, and as you can see, all sides are blue because we haven't added any dimensions, so we haven't really formed it. So what you can do with dimensions is you can actually play with the object, and you can say, well, actually, this random square, I want it to be 3 mil, so type in 3 mil, and I can see I got 3 mil here. And then you want to go, okay, so I want it from here to here, 15, beautiful. And then you're like, okay, well this one's still blue, so I've obviously still got a constraint to work with. Click from here to here, 15 mil, type that in, beautiful. And now you can see that we've got a receiver joint. It's easy as that. So now click trim along here, and you can see that's changed. Now, by the way, what the yellow actually shows is that it's an enclosed shape. So for example, if I come over here, and I just draw something like this, and you can see that that's not an enclosed shape. So, it hasn't changed colour, but if I join it up from here to here, you can see that now that is an enclosed shape. So if I just control Z that, obviously you don't have to do that, that was just for demonstration purposes. So now using that same rule, we can just go along here, make sure it's tangent, or coincident if you will. This is like terminology in DT, so obviously make it from here, just a random cube, or rectangle, or obviously you've got the whole debate about which one it is. So, sorry about that. Sketch dimension from here to here. Make that 15, enter. From here to here, make that one 15, enter. And then obviously we're not worried about this one, but we are worried about this one. We don't want it 10 mil, we want it 3 mil. I click S, trim, beautifully, and now we have our outie joint, if that's what you want to call it. So now that we've finished that, we've got a bunch of dimensions, and this is like a normal, sort of design. It's just a cube, guys. So now what we want to do is because we've been working in the sketch area, so obviously without using S, you can come over here and you can click line, and you can do the line tool. Obviously escape if you don't want to use that tool. So now we're going to shift over to create, and you can see this is sort of like what your workflow should look like. So you would sketch here, then you would bring it and you would actually create it into 3D, then you could modify that 3D, and then you could assemble different things together. So you can sort of see it's almost like a workflow. So now we're going to move on from sketch to then create. So now you want to click extrude, or it's also this one here, and you can see it's gone into an isometric mode, and now we can click on the face that we want to extrude. So we want this one, you can see it's sort of made the lines bold, so we want to click on that. And what material are we working with? What's the thickness? See, this is where the joints come into play. So 3 mil, click OK, and now we've made that 3 mil. Click enter, by the way. And now you can see we have something resembling a cube. So if we zoom out there, we can see that we have this side here. We sort of just compare that. So now what we want to do is we want to obviously sketch the next one. We want to sketch this side. So what we're going to do is, the first thing we want to do before we start sketching is we want to make a new component. Now this is key, guys. You have to remember to make a new component. So click create, new component, and you can even read it there. So new component, and we can call this side 2. And now you can see the parent. Now because we had this as our active component, you see if we highlight that is our active component. You see it's got like that sort of dot in the middle of the circle. So if we then X that out and click on the file, and you can see that that's now selected, and then we want to activate it, because obviously we want to just click OK and start editing, and then click OK, and now you can see that this is now like gone down in opacity, if that makes sense. So we can still see it, but we can't edit it. Now that is key. Now this is actually called top-down design. Now what that means is that you build each panel, if you will, in the same sort of file or assembly, if that makes sense. So bottom bottom-up design is where you would make each individual panel in separate files and then all put them into another separate file where you then assemble it. But with this one we can obviously do it, and it's much easier. So then you want to click on front, and you want to click create sketch, making sure this is active. So click create sketch, and you can see here's a sort of quiz or question. Which side are we gonna obviously sketch on? So which panel? So for example, we're gonna sketch on this plane. We're gonna make a new plane here, or we're gonna make a new plane here. Now remember, we're making this panel. So think of the answer. I'll give you 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come on, what you got? Well, if you said this panel here, or if you said this panel here, then you would have been correct. Because what we would do here is we could select this panel and we would extrude it out. So in the direction my mouse is moving. But if we would do it here, then we would extrude it in. Now this will become a lot more clear when I actually extrude it. So what you want to do is you want to click on here, and now you can see that we can actually see what we're editing. So this is super easy to actually make. So all we have to do is actually just to make the receiver joint that goes here. All we have to do is just outline the 2 parts that aren't sticking out. So we can clearly see here that that part is sticking out. So if we click back on front, we don't want that part, we want the opposite part. So we want to go from here to here. And now here's the key part. Do we go from here to here or here to here? Well, here to here. Because if we then move out, we can see that that is the outy part. Now we don't want that, obviously, because another panel's going to go here. So if we click back on front, this is all we need. And now you can see we've actually made our first joint without even drawing the square. So now what we want to do is we want to click from here to here and make that 50 by 50. And as you can see, we've now got a 50 by 50 cube. Now if we go back on this one, alright, and now you can see we've got our sketch there faded out. We can, if you say for example messed up, you can then right click on this and you can edit sketch. So now we can see where our original 50 by 50 square was, and we can see that actually, hold on Jack, you've done something wrong. It's 50 by 50, but the 2 cubes here, it takes away material, not adds material. So if we then go back out, if we then come up to here and click stop sketch, come back out, go up to here, make that the active component, you can see we've got our sketch, right click and click edit sketch. You can see, hold on, we actually can't have this square. So I've messed it up. So here what we can do is we can go, right click, edit sketch, and we can actually press S. No, you can click on each line and click on delete, because obviously we don't want this anymore. So click on this line here and click delete. So what we actually want is you want to draw it from here to here. Now remember, design is all about finding solutions. So you can see that we messed up there. We went back to check it, because obviously it didn't look right to me. Obviously you want to click enter here. And now you can see that we've obviously changed it and we've edited it out. So what we want to do here, so we've got this line here, so you just want to join up from there to there. And then we want to click on trim, remove that one, and now you can see that we've got our joint there. So now what we need to do is we need to make the outie point on the other side. So click from here to here, any sized square, maybe not that big. Make that 3 mil. Go from here to here, make that 15. Oh, it was already 15, that was pretty good. From here to here, 15. And now you can see that we've got another joint already. What was that, like 2 seconds? So now we just trim that out, and I want you to do the other 2 bits. So obviously just quickly pause it now, go do that, and then I'll show you how to do the other bits. Okay, are you done? Okay. So now the way to do this, there's 2 ways. So for example, it all depends on what panel you want at the top. So here you can see I've got 2 different panels. This is only for the tutorial because I obviously wanted to make, instead of doing the same panel over and over again, obviously repetition is good for design because it gets your muscle memory, but obviously I wanted to shake it up a bit and show you how really top-down design is the best. So that's why I done a receiver here, not a pointy out one here. So that's what we'll do. So obviously you want this one to be the receiver and this one to be the pointy out. So click from here to here. Click back on front. Then click sketch dimensions. Do that 3 mil. Here to here. Oh, here to here. You see, if I don't click it, it will class that as a 3 mil. And what an over constraint means. So if we just click OK, so the computer's sort of like, okay. So the first one's fine, you know, there was no other dimension at that point, but as soon as we had another one, it's like, so you want this line to you want from this line to this line to be 3 mil, but then you want to edit the dimension from this line to this line. They're the same lines. What are you doing? So that's why it's come up with an error. But what you want to do is obviously click from here to here. So some of you might get that error, but obviously be more precise with your clicks. So from this line to this line, take that 15 mil. And I can see we can just check 20, click escape, obviously it's a bit laggy, and then click sketch dimension, and then we're all good. Oh, I must have clicked Control Z. Sorry, 15. There we go, beautiful. So now we want the pointy out bit at the bottom, easy as boom. Sketch dimension, that one to that one, 15, enter. This one to this one, 15, enter. Bring this one out, 3 mil. Come through, click trim, move that, and you can see that we've now done one more panel. What was that, like 5 minutes? Okay, so now you want to, remember, you want to come up to the top. Now I'd say I want you to do this, but you should know how to do this, but you know, if not, then you pause the video, go do it, come back. So you want to come up to extrude, click on this part. You can see I must have forgotten to remove a line there, but that's okay because you can see if I unclick things and I just want these two faces to be extruded, I can actually just click on that. But obviously I don't, so I'll click cancel, click extrude, I'll click from here to this one, and now you can see if we click, what's that, 3 mil? And now you can see there that I extruded it from, because I edit it on this plane, I extruded it out, but if I edit it on this plane, I've got to extrude it in. Does that make sense? Okay, so now we've done 2 of the 4 panels that we need to do. I want you to do the whole process, so if I go up to here and make that the active component, I want you to make the other 2. So I want you to make the one that goes here and the one that goes here. So obviously if we look here, we've made these 2. So if we just undo that, we've made these 2. I want you to make this one and this one so you have a complete square. Alright, so pause the video, go do that, and then I'll come back and I'll show you how to do it. Alright, so if your cube looks like this, then well done, you've done a great job. If not, and it looks like this, then obviously go back, watch the first half of the video, watch how I did these 2, but if not, if you've done this and you're completely happy with everything, then we can move on to the next part. Now the next part is doing the top panels, alright? So what you want to do is the first thing you want to do is you want to come up to here, like we always said, you want to come up to here and you want to click New Component. Alright, now you can see I've got the Slot Together Cube version 2 up here, and I just want to type in, we'll call this, because we're obviously doing the top panel, we'll call this top panel, alright? We'll make that the parent of the whole file, we'll click OK, and now you can see everything has gone to a dollar pasty. Remember we all did this, it should be second nature. So now you click on this, remember there's 2 ways we can do it. We can edit it from here and extrude it down, or we can edit it from here and extrude it up. I'm going to do this one because I feel more comfortable with it. And I can see this is probably the easiest drawing, because all we have to do is just go from here to here, here to here, here to here, here to here, and then just a full cube there. And now you can see we're done. Now all we need to do is obviously trim. So trim there, trim there, trim there, trim there, click extrude, and I see I must have missed one out again. If not, obviously just click it back on, click 3 mil, and now you can see it's up. Now if we did it the other way, then we'd have to extrude it down. But obviously we've done it this way, so extrude it up. Now here's just a tip. If you can't remember what the height is, all you have to do is when you're entering the distance, instead of entering a distance, just click on the panel that it needs to be the same size as. So if I look, snap to 3, so that is side 3. So if I click on that, you can see it's automatically gone 3 mil, which is the correct size. So click OK. Now you can see we've just done another panel. It was as easy as that. So now what you want to do is you want to come back over. You want to come back over to and make this the active component. Scroll this to the bottom. Click create new component. Call this bottom. And then click OK. And then what you want to do is you want to come, click create sketch. Now, like I said before, you can either click on this one, but I'll do this one because I want to extrude it up. And now all we have to do is just outline it with a spline. So this is really easy to just go from here to here, all in one motion. Oh, sometimes obviously it doesn't pick up that, but all in one motion. Really easy. Obviously when you do this, it'll be much more interesting than when I do it. And you can see right there, as soon as I've finished that, oh, I can just go straight to extruding. Oh, obviously I must have missed that one out, that's strange. But you can just see I can go straight to extruding, distance, 3 mil, done. I've just done another panel. Easy as that. So if I come back here, make that the active component, you can now see that I've done all of the panels that I need to do. So now you can actually see I've finished the cube in that amount of time. How easy was that, guys? So obviously the next part in this video, I'm going to show you how to save these files as DXFs. So what you want to do is you want to click on the side that you want to make a DXF. So we'll do this one first, because obviously this is the first one we ever did. So we'll click on this, and you can see that as soon as we click on the side, so for example, side 2 of 2, we will, we can click that and make that active component. We can also do it, for example, here. So if we click on this one, while it's in low opacity, it will come up with that jagged line. Can you see that sort of construction line? So if we make that one the active component, you can see that we've now jumped from this one to this one. So now what we have to do is then click create sketch, click on the face that you want as a DXF, and now you can see there's a black outline around it. Click on it, don't edit anything, stop sketch, come back out, and now you can see we've created a new sketch. Now take note of what that sketch is called, so sketch 3. Then you want to come back on that tree, and you want to click on that, click on sketches, and now you can see you have all our listed sketches. Now you can see sketch 3. So you want to right click on that, and just click save as, and then DXF. And now here you can see we have some other pre-DXFs, but if I go into Fusion 360 tutorial and make a new folder and call it DXFs for cube, you can see I've already done it once, but you know, and then click enter, double click in here, and now here's some tips for save it, for like file name. So here you can see we've got side 1, so you can call it side 1. And now you can see how many of these panels do we want. So we've got one here, one on the other side, and one on the other side. So that's 4. So you want to go side 1, then you want to go X, and you want to go 4. So now what that tells me, when I'm at the laser cutter, or I'm at school, or I'm at my workshop, so I can read that file and I can think, okay, side 1, I could reference that back to my cube. I know what side 1 is. For example, you might have that as base, or main panel, or gear. And then I want to know how much of that do I need to, how much of that panel do I need to laser cut? So side 1 and then X 4. So side 1 times 4. That's how many of that panel you need. So then click save. Make sure it's that DXF file. So that's .dxf. Click save. And now you see you've saved it. So you've done your first DXF. So I want you guys to make the other two. So you want to click on. So you want to do the top and the bottom. So all you have to do, so obviously pause the video, go do the top and the bottom, and then come back, and I'll show you how to do it if you get stuck. Cool, I hope you're enjoying this tutorial. Anyway, alright, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed it. Saving as DXF, I know it's always fun. So come back, make this the active component so you can see everything. So I think we will do this one. What is that, the top panel? So then click make that active component, create sketch, click on the face you want, come up to the top right, click stop sketch, take note of what that was called, so sketch 2, let's go to sketches, right click, save as DXF, we'll call that top panel, and yeah, we'll call it top panel, and now you can see that we only have one of these, so I'm just going to leave it top panel. You can, if you want, do X1, it's up to you, but for my personal preference, top panel is enough, that's all I need to know. So click save, come back out, active component, take it to the bottom, click on this part, active component, click away from that, create sketch, click on that one, then click stop sketch. Obviously you can click on that to bring it away, so click on that, and you can see once you actually hover over one, it sort of becomes a bluish sort of blur around it. So you can see I click on that one, right click that, save as DXF, desktop, Fusion 360, so obviously find your folder, because obviously you want your DXF to be in the same folder. So we will call this bottom panel. Yeah, bottom panel. And now obviously, like I said before, we only have one of these, that's all we need. Then click save, and now you can see that we've got, like, this cube is now ready to laser cut. Obviously we've saved everything as a DXF, so now we can actually leave this, go into our file. So if I bring up File Explorer, go to the file, so DXFs for cube, and here you can see I've got all my DXFs. Now, the one way to check that everything was okay, now all your lines are correct, everything is, you know, how you want it to be, is you can click on your panels, for example. So for example, I've got Illustrator open, so if I go open, so that's just loading, and then I come to Fusion 360 tutorial, DXFs for cube, and I open up, for example, top panel. And now you can see we've got the Illustrator registers that it's a DXF. So obviously what a DXF actually is, it's basically a vector. So for those of you who don't do graphic design or don't know what a vector is in design, a vector is, in contrast to what Photoshop uses, where it edits its pixels and stuff, vectors are basically a bunch of lines that use maths to calculate them. So obviously a DXF is a part of a vector, and Illustrator is a vector editing program. So like CuraDraw or 2D Design, which are also DXF editing or vector editing softwares, you can also use Illustrator. Sure, it might be on the high end or cost, but you know, if you have it, why not? So go up to there, see what I did there. So originally it was on points, change that to millimeters, highlight that, change that to 1, so you can see one unit in millimeters is what we used. So for example, if you use centimeters, 1 centimeter is equal to 1 scale in Illustrator. So then click OK, and then we can jump right in. And now you can see that we actually have, so if we zoom into that, there's our top panel, just right there. Beautiful. So now you can just exit that. And yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed that tutorial. Obviously it's just a basic cube, but if you actually have for example, if you have a laser cutter, then you can actually take these panels and you can actually laser cut this cube and have a physical object. And you could probably do a tutorial where you just engrave the date, or the date that you first learned Fusion, for example. But yeah, there's so much you can do with this. Now this tutorial was really to teach you the skills. So we were aiming to teach you how to make a panel. Then we aim to teach you how to make a joint, and then a receiving joint, and then a panel that could, harness that joint, if that makes sense. So for example, this one doesn't follow that trend, and this one neither. So then we taught you how to make a DXF. And you can see this is really just a really good beginner's guide for people using a laser cutter, or for just in general, because remember, you could 3D print these, Sure, you could have just drawn the cube, but you can 3D print these. So that's that. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please, if you enjoy this sort of stuff and you want to expand your knowledge on DT, then subscribe to my YouTube channel, Design More, or Jack Daily. Go follow me on Instagram, I give you loads of Fusion 360 tips. You can see what I'm doing in the design. You can see when a new video comes out. You can DM me, you can private message me. Any help that you need, I will be there. I'm sure I might not message instantly, but I will definitely be there. So that I will leave on the screen at Jack_DA1Y, because Jack Daily was taken. Hope you enjoyed this video. Have fun. Keep making, keep designing, and remember to design more. Have a great day.